right. So, as always, when we do the Relearn packet, you look at this section, and it says right there across the top, how many questions out of numbers 1 through 9 did you get wrong? If you got more than one wrong, then you need to do this section. So I'm recording this while you guys are in the room, and we really need you to be quiet because, and you can ask a question if you have one. But other than that, it's important to be super respectful because the kids are going to be home looking over this sheet, trying to learn how to do it better. So right now we're going to do questions 1 through 9, and those are the first question or the first section of the test involves questions 1 through 9, okay? And I'll just make one video for sections 1 and 2 put together. Now, it says to express each in simplest form. And you know what I got a lot of out of this one? I got an answer of 1 and 1/49 on number 1. A lot of people put 1 and 1/49. Can you guys possibly look at this and see what they confused? Why they got an answer like that?
No.
Well, where do you think the 1 came from? I think that's a pretty easy
The
question.
5.
Yeah, the 5 to the 0. Good. So that's the 1 part of it. And then they thought that -7 squared was 1/49. That's only if the negative is in the exponent. The negative is not in the exponent. So I can't say, negative exponent. That's right, I can't say that. So I can say 5 to the 0 is 1. And -7 squared means square the 7, then negate it. So what is 7 squared? 49. Then I have to negate it. So I get -49 plus 1, which is -48. And that's the answer to the first question. I think more students got 1 and 1/49 than got -48. So we have to be aware of that. Who thinks they know the answer to number 2? Go ahead. It is 16. Very good, because -4 squared means -4 times -4. When I multiply by a negative, I change the first sign. 16 is the correct answer. Now, the next question says 4x cubed minus 3x cubed. Now, you're adding and subtracting, and whenever you add or subtract anything on the face of the earth, you always get back the same kind of thing that you started with. So, for instance, I love sweaters. I have lots of sweaters. I probably have 20 to 25 sweaters. So if I add sweaters to sweaters, what do I get? Sweater. Yeah, right, there you go. Could I possibly add sweaters to sweaters and get jackets? No. Do I add sweaters to sweaters and get ponies?
You get a thick sweater though.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, like if you have a sweater jacket.
No, you know what I mean. If I add sweaters and sweaters, can I get ponies?
No.
No. So if I add things that are called x cubes, or subtract, same thing, to more things that are x cubes, my answer has to be x cubes. It's got to be the same kind of thing. Ethan, head up. So what's 4 minus 3, or 4 and -3? It's 1. So you can either put just x cubed, or you could put 1x cubed, whichever you want. Okay, now, on to number 4. Number 4 says 2d to the 3rd cubed. And I saw a number of people on their test kind of stop in the middle. What I saw a lot of people do that I thought was really good is they went like this. 2d cubed times 2d cubed times 2d cubed, which is really good because when you cube something, it means use it as a factor 3 times. And the people who did this did use it as a factor 3 times. The problem is you can't stop there. You have to go one step further and say 2 times 2 times 2, coefficients being multiplied, make 8, and add the exponents, that's d to the 9th. Now this is one way to do this. Another way is to realize I have to cube everything in the package. 2 cubed is 8, d to the 3rd, raise a power to a power, multiply, is d to the 9th. Okay? So that is how we do number 4. Number 5 is a question that we're doing very well with. Multiply coefficients, add exponents. It's an extremely important question to know. You know, in this class, we have Ethan and Jakyle, who are pretty new here. You've only been here like a week or two. And there's a really good chance that where you guys were covering in your schools, you were Longwood, right? Ethan, what school were you again? Northridge Middle. Now, I'm willing to bet you were doing different topics at the schools that you were at, right? So for these guys to walk into class and suddenly be told, hey, you got to know how to do this, is really unfair. But the truth is, there's no way around it. So these relearn packets give you a chance to go back and catch up on the things that you weren't here for so that you can get them more right. And I should also tell you, Ethan and Jakyle, when it comes to your grade for the marking period coming up, I'm really not going to count the beginning grades too much. Like if your beginning test grades were 20s and 30s, and then they became 50s and 60s, and at the end of the marking period they were 70s and 80s, you would get a grade in the 70s or the 80s, because it would prove to me that you learned all that stuff that you were missing when you hadn't gotten here yet, okay? Next. So on number 5, we're going to multiply coefficients. -3 times -7. What do we get? 21, good. And then add exponents. A to the 9, B to the 3. Any questions about that? 21, A to the 9, B to the 3rd. And now I'm going to divide. And I'm going to divide coefficients and subtract exponents. And this was a question that so many people got wrong because they did one thing wrong. Just about every person in all of the classes knew that 9 divided by 3 was 3. Then they did times, then they did 10. So far, everybody's looking really, really good. And then, what does your paper say? Does it say cubed here?
It says 5.
5. The answer's 7, guys. Yeah, it's 5 minus -2. Circle agregado. 5 plus 2 is 7. A lot of people put 3. A lot of people put 3. More people put 3 than put 7. So be careful about that. When you subtract a negative, which is what we're doing here, when you subtract that negative, you end up adding. Whenever you see the 2 in a row, circle them, add. So that's 3 times 10 to the 7th. Okay. Next question, number 7. The distance between two molecules is 8.1 times 10 to the -5 nanometers. Express this as a standard numeral. Now, the first thing I notice is that this is a negative exponent in scientific notation. So that means I have to begin with 0 point. Stop.
Okay.
I have to begin with 0 point. Now, I have to move a total of, because there's a 5 here, I have to move a total of 5 decimal places, one of which will be made up by the 8. So that means I have to put 4 zeros. So I get 0.000081. And that's my correct answer. Okay? Any questions about that? All right. Now we got to do numbers 8 and 9. What is the product? Product means multiply. 7 times 4 is 28. Now add coefficients, just like this one here before, number 5. We're multiplying coefficients, adding exponents. Times 10 to the 14. But there's a problem with that. And on the test, way too many kids left the answer 28 times 10 to the 14. And I felt really bad about that because on previous tests, everybody was getting this question right, or just about everybody was getting it right. The answer cannot be 28 times 10 to the 14. What is bad about that answer?
Is that what we said?
Yeah, the coefficient, the 28, has to be between 1 through 10. So I have to divide by 10 here, which means I have to multiply by 10 here. So I get 2.8 times 10 to the 15. So 28 times 10 to the 14 is equivalent to 2.8 times 10 to the 15. It's just not being expressed in the right form. It's funny, I was joking around with, I think they went to Medford. When you guys were very young, anybody here go to Medford, like all of their schooling since they were a little kid?
No.
Do you remember a girl by the name of Casey Travers? All right, she's 1 year older than you. And she moved when she was in like 2nd or 3rd grade. But her mom used to be a student of mine when she was here. And I've kept in touch with the mom, and Casey needed a little bit of help with math last night. So I was helping her out. And as I was going through that, the mom and I exchanged a couple of text messages. And at one point, I wrote back to her, "True dat." And she started laughing like crazy because she doesn't expect a 52-year-old to say true dad. And I said that I have taught middle school long enough to know how to trash talk. So, it's close enough. So now, there's like a proper way to speak in certain situations. Now, everybody in this class knows that I do not like President Obama at all. You know I don't like. You know that. First of all, I respect a lot of things about him and what he's done in his own life. But there's a lot of things I don't like about him, particularly his politics. I just disagree. I think the man is ruining the country. But that said, if President Obama walks through our door, I'm not going to go, yo, man, sup, true dad? No way! This is the President of the United States of America. I am going to call him Mr. President. I may even call him Sir.
I call him Mr. Obama.
Mr. Obama. You have to show a certain sign.
You can't call him Barack, can you?
Can't call him what?
Can you call him by his first name?
Oh, Barack. What about Barry? Hey, Barry, man, sup?
His name is-
Oh, no, in college they used to call him
My
Barry.
brother thought his first name was President for the longest time. He's 11.
There you go. All right. So listen, my point. Excuse me. My point is not to get too involved with President Obama, except to say that when dealing with President Obama in presidential circumstances, you refer to him as President Obama. You treat the office, the situation that he is in, with a tremendous amount of respect.
If there wasn't a president, then he would be.
Stop. Now, when dealing with scientific notation, there is a certain way we have to treat things. And in scientific notation, always, 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 this number in front, like Chris said before, has to be between 1 and 10. If it's not between 1 and 10, it's not in proper form. So just like when President Obama walks through the door, he is expected to be addressed as Mr. President or President Obama, not as, yo, sup, Barry, happening, dog. All right? We don't do that. It's improper. So with scientific notation, 2.8. Have you decided if you want to learn today? Because if you're going to be distracted, you can't learn. 2.8, not 28. 28 is bad form. Okay, and last but not least, it talks about Mr. Mortimer's Mortimer Moneybags, and he has multiple bank accounts. How's that for alliteration? What does alliteration mean? Repetition of initial consonant
I don't
sound.
know.
Mortimer Moneybags, multiple, all start with an M. One of his accounts has $250,000 in it, so I'm going to write $250,000. Another one has 5.34 times 10 to the 6th. Now, we have said many times that with addition and subtraction, you want to convert it all to a regular number. So let's convert 5.34 times 10 to the 6th. So since I have to go 6 places, and 3, 4 are 2 of them, that means I need to have 4 zeros. And yes, if I check it, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5.34, we're good. And then it says the last account has 170,000 in it. So then it says, how much does he have altogether in all of the accounts? 0, 0, we're adding up here, 0, 0, 11, 16, 5, 7, and then 5. Now, here's the problem I think some of you guys missed. It says here, express the amount of money Mr. Moneybags has in scientific notation. So if you wrote $5,760,000, you are correct. The problem is you didn't answer the question. The question says to express this in scientific notation, which means you have to go back and count the places, which is 3, 6, so it's 5.76 times 10 to the 6th. And that is the correct answers. So this is section 1 and 2 on the test, okay? Section 1 and 2 put together are all of those. Now we can begin doing section 3.